Good evening, this is the presentation of RFID library system with a database, and then this will be explaining the features of the system as well as its being foolproof and its applications. So we have two readers. First one is this saying it's borrow a book, and the one is saying return a book. And then, by the way, this is a LAN, local area network system. So we have a router here, which are connected, which these two Arduinos RFID reader are the clients, whereas this laptop is the server. So as for its power, we will be sending a socket with AC for the router, and then we will buy a socket that has an output of USB, just like this power bank. But for now, we don't have that extension wire, which we will send together with the items, but we will be procuring. And for now, we will just be using this power bank to power up these two readers. Okay, so we can check here at the main application or the main page. We go to the localhost, then URL is localhost RFID, then main.html. So this is the main page. Here you can check all the applications of the system, but first, before we go on to checking all the system, first is this is a library system, therefore there must be books, and each book has RFID embedded to them. So let's say, for example, this is the RFID card embedded to this book, Integral Calculus, second edition by Malvino, and it is old book. Okay, we just place names on the RFID cards. So this is a database on the computer with a memory of 500 gigabytes. Therefore, as if if I calculate it correctly, you can have over 100 millions of books. Still, this memory is not full. So therefore, that's the good thing with database, is that you can enroll or register a lot of books, okay, to the system. So for now, I'll just register 6 of them. Okay. So how to register a book? So we have here on the main application a button, register a book. So we just click this one. Okay, we have the book RFID registration. So to register a book, we only have two readers. The first reader is for borrowing a book. The second reader is return a book. But this first reader, borrow a book, it has a switch here, in which if we switch this one, it will change state from borrowing a book to register a book. So remember that registering a book will only be done once. Okay, once you have the system installed and you have a new book, or you have a new book, you need to register it. The librarian will be registering it. So for now, let's register the 6 books. First, this Integral Calculus, second edition by Malvino. For registering a book, it's quite simple. This is easy register, part of the system. So just swipe it here. Okay, it has a sound when it's already read the RFID. And then just refresh it here. Okay. So you can see, if I swipe, we can have the RFID number here. So we just place the complete name of the book. Let's say this book is Integral Calculus second edition. So I've already registered it last time we test. So you can see na it has the name already typed. This is part of the autocorrect of Google Chrome, because I'm using Google Chrome as the browser. So this is by Gilbert Malvino. Okay, so the author must be Gilbert Malvino. Category is engineering mathematics, because that's integral calculus, and the condition is old. Okay, and then I'll click register. So registration successful. When I click back to registration, we'll go back here for the registration. So let's say I'll register the other 5 without explaining too much. Okay. So we'll be doing manual registration, always manual, for how many times, but it's quite easier than listing all the book manually. This one is better. So we have Engineering Algebra 1, 3rd edition by Gibilisco. Okay. Category is Engineering Mathematics because this is algebra, and the condition is new. Okay, then I'll click register. Registration successful. So next, I'll be registering Algebra of Computer Programming by Haji Hill and you. Okay, so just drag it. Okay. So remember, I swiped it twice. What I did is I swiped it twice, but on the system is quite foolproof. Even if you swipe it twice, since it is the same card, it will just read it once. So name of the book is Algebra of Computer Programming, 4th edition. Okay, we have author is Haji Hill. Category is Computer Programming and Computer Science, and it is new. Okay, register. Registration successful. Again, I'll register this analytic geometry. Okay, so just refresh. I have analytic geometry, 2nd edition by Gibilisco. Category is Engineering Mathematics, and we have this is new book. So the condition is new. Just place it, register. Station successful. So we have 2 more to go. We have the analytical. This is quite analytic, but it's analytical physical education. Analytic physical education by John Cena and this. Okay. Just to have some quite fooling around. So we have analytic physical education. Okay. This is by category is physical education, and it's a new book. Register. Registration successful. Last one is, remember that we have, say for example, you have 2 similar book, but this one is already registered, this one still not. The same book, but since even if they are the same, if the RFID card embedded with them is different, the system will take it as a although the same book, but it will say that this is, the system will know which is the book that you borrowed. Okay. Because of the RFID number, it's always unique. So the system is a computer, they check if they can see it is a unique. So algebra and no, engineering algebra, it's called engineering algebra, 3rd edition. Author is Gibilisco. Category is engineering mathematics, and we have a new book. Okay, so now they are registered. So say for example, I've registered them twice. Let's say this one, the analytic physical education. Let's say it's already registered, and then I forgot that something mess up happened, and then I forgot that I've already registered this card or this book, and let's say I made a mistake to register it again. So I'll swipe it again. Let's say you made a mistake, you registered it again, and then you place the name of the book. We have the analytic geometry, analytic physical education, okay, by John Cena. I have physical education, and it's a new book. So let's see if a book is already registered and then you just register it again, it will say book already registered. So it doesn't do anything, it just tell you that the book is already registered. So it's quite a foolproof one. So let's say I've finished registering all the books. So we'll go to the operation state, or the normal operation where we borrow and return a book. So I will just click this switch, and it will change state from registration state into the borrowing state, or the what's so called operation state. So again, it's as simple as switch. You just switch it if you want to register a book, and then you just switch back if you want to borrow a book. So a very easy to use system. Let's say I borrow this book. We have the integral calculus. I'll borrow the integral calculus and the analytic physical education, something like that. Okay. So when borrowing a book, let's go to, there's a button here, back to main. So this is the main page. So I click someone borrow a book. So click here to borrow a book. Okay. So this is book borrowing. So let's say you can see here it's borrow a book in the LCD. So let's say I place this one here. Just need to do that, and then click this refresh here. You can see the after you swipe, it will place here all the information about that book, the book name, author, category, the RFID number, and the condition of the book. And there is an edit text here telling us who is the borrower of the book, or the name of the borrower. So I'll place my name since I borrowed this book, and then I click borrow. So book borrowed successfully. Either you can go back to main page or back to borrowing page. Let's go back to borrowing page. I'll borrow another book. Let's say I borrow 2 books. This is Integral Calculus 2nd edition. Okay. And I'll click this one. You can see Integral Calculus 2nd edition, blah 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 blah. And then my name. And then I'll click borrow. Okay, back to borrowing page. Let's say I'll borrow another one. We have this analytic geometry. Okay. Analytic geometry. Then refresh. Okay. Borrowed by Rai Hajigel. And I click borrow. Okay, book borrowed successfully. Let's say I'll go back to main page. So you have already registered the book successfully. You have borrowed the book successfully. You can here click here to check the full list of borrowed books. Just click here, and it will give me the full list of borrowed books. This is that I borrowed earlier, the Analytic Physical Education Integral Calculus by this person. Name of borrower, the date and time. There is the date and time here. We have the date and then the time. And the author of the book, category of the book, the RFID number of the book, and the book condition. So you can also check all these parts. You have also list of available books. So you have algebra for engineering algebra, 2 engineering algebras, okay, and algebra of computer programming. So you can see that it lists very well. The good thing with this system is even if you have 1,000 of million of books, it does pretty well. So let's say we have here the search engine, search for available books. So let's say you go to the librarian and ask, is there a book about engineering algebra? So I'll just place here, okay, search a book by name. So let's say any book entitled engineering. Here, any engineering book. Just place your engineering. So search book by name. So it will give you all the books that has engineering on its name. So engineering, this one is engineering algebra. Okay. So I'll just be sorry for this one. This is unidentified. It has it's not an error actually. It's a warning, but I'll just be fixing that one later. So the good thing with this system is, what if I typed it wrong? Instead of engineering, I'll place engine. I forgot letter I. Let's say engineering. It's like the Google search. The Google search, even if you emit a letter, it's called engineering now. It's not engineering, and then search it. Okay, engineering is not available. So to avoid error, enter full name. Okay. Let's say if you want any book concerning about algebra. Okay. any book that has algebra in it. So we have algebra, computer programming, engineering algebra, and engineering algebra. Okay, so these are the authors, these are the category, these are the available books. Remember, I'll just be fixing these warnings here. Not technically error, but warnings. You can also search by category. Let's say I want to search about computer science, any book about computer science. So just click here. Okay, it'll give you the algebra of computer programming, blah blah blah. Under category of computer science programming, conditions new. So let's say I want to have a category in engineering mathematics. Okay, then I'll place. So we have two books on engineering mathematics, which is actually the same book. Okay, they are the same. That's two books, but with the same. We have pretty much this many books that are the same. Okay. So as for returning, let's say I already remember, I'll just be fixing that error on that, showing it in what's so called table. And then another one is I cannot make another video, but in the final testing, let's say engineering mathematics, what we will be doing is we'll fix this one. Instead of having a sentence type of output, I'll be fixing it and have let's say engineering here and the name. Okay. Let's say search by author. I will use search by author. Author is Gibiliska. Okay. So we have here engineering algebra 1 3rd edition. So instead of having sentence type of output, we'll be opting to use engineering. We will be changing this one, but we cannot make a video out of it anymore because of having a busy schedule. But we will be changing the output of this one as to have an output just like this, a table type of output, but we'll not be having a video on that one. But we promise to make the output of these two be a table form. So what about returning before we go to the 20-minute video? So returning is quite simple. These are the borrowed books. So let's say I return integral calculus 2nd edition. So I'll just swipe on that reader. Okay. Returning is quite automatic. Once you return it, okay, that the second beep tells us that the operation successful. After returning it, you just give it back to the librarian. So I've returned integral calculus 2nd edition. Let's say I'll return analytic geometry. So return book is basically in front of students that are returning it. You can see what are the message popping up on the LCD. So I'll just thank you for returning. So let's say I've already returned this one, and then I've already done scanning it. But let's say I scan it again. Okay. I say double scan for a. Let's say I'm gonna fool the system. If the system gonna return it twice, this book wasn't borrowed here because you already returned the book, and then it's not borrowed here. So the system will tell you just that. So let's say I have this card, okay, a book that is not yet registered. Let's say this is a book from another library, and I just place it here. So I want to return it here. This book wasn't borrowed here. Okay. So we cannot return a book that is not borrowed here and return it here on the system. On this library. So since we returned two books, when I click the list, full list of borrowed books, it will give me just one more, the last one, which is the analytic physical education. Okay. So that's the only book that's remaining unreturned. And then if I click the full list of available books, it will give me 5 because I've just returned 2, and then 3 is already there available, so it will become 5 again. So this system can work in thousands or even millions of books, and it responds, as you can see, it responds almost in a split second. So that's the good thing with computers. When you program in server-side programming, it's quite handy when you're talking about speed. So if you're questioning what are the codes that I've used, there's only 2 code for the Arduino. The one Arduino code is return book, the other is book borrow code. This one is not included on this project. But most of the codes is server-side programming, or I've used PHP, so this RFID library. So this is the total number of PHP scripts that I've used: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's almost 30 PHP scripts, but they're quite not too long of a code. So this is inside that code, borrow.php. So as you can see, server-side programming is not quite easy, and it's quite systematic, but it gives you quite a satisfaction once you've done it. So thank you very much for listening.